Greetings, everyone, and welcome! Thank you all so much for coming to join me for some more Wild Arms 3, and thank you, Clemps, once again, for the raid. I imagine you've probably already gone to bed, and goodness knows I don't blame you, but thank you. And thank you to all the rats who've stuck around during the pre-stream. Clemps caught me at all but the perfect time. I've literally just sat down to start streaming, and I always try to do a at least a 20, maybe a 30-minute pre-stream beforehand to give people a chance to get the notification and find their way in, but here we are, and I really appreciate everyone dropping by. How are you all? I hope everybody is well and safe. Hello, Sylphie, welcome. Yes, Decoy, Clemps is pretty sneaky, although when he wants to make his presence known, he certainly does. A capture card, RLA. I use an internal capture card that plugs into the PC's motherboard via PCIe. The streaming software on the PS4 and the PS5 is worthless. There's no point trying to use that to stream. Yeah, the Doctor, you did like a 12-hour stream yesterday, didn't you? I'm not one to talk here, but I recommend going a little bit easier. I know you're working on that 50-follower goal, but you're not going to do yourself any favors if you compromise your own health in the process. Ah, congrats, Sylphie! Actually, Sylphie, it's funny you mention that because I'm not going to be streaming tomorrow, most likely. Well, later today at this point, because I unexpectedly was offered an appointment basically in the early afternoon to go get the first dose of a vaccine myself, so given how hard it is to get those in Germany right now, I jumped at the chance, so... Hello, DevTech, welcome! No, RLA, it's the Avermedia Live Gamer HD 2, I believe? Let me pull up a link to it for you. Yeah, here it is. There you go. That's the one there, RLA. 13 hours. The Doctor, go easy, man. Go easy. I appreciate your drive and your motivation, but if you make yourself too sick to stream, then you're not going to bring yourself any closer to that goal. Oh, well, Heartless Healer, that's me every day, so I'm sure I'll be fine. All I really care about is that I get the vaccine and it doesn't kill me. Yeah, no, Heartless, I'm a millennial, so that's just everyday life for me. Yeah, the Doctor, just as Sylphie says, if you burn yourself out on it right away, then it'll stop being enjoyable. You gotta pace yourself. Oh, hi, Yami, good to see you. It's not going yet. We literally just started with a raid from Clemps, and I wanted to properly acknowledge that before we dive any further in. Although, the first probably 5 or 10 minutes or so is going to be, me replenishing my supply of holy roots. Well, the Doctor, that's good. I'm glad you're excited for the games that are coming out soon, but again, just pace yourself, you know? Or if you are going to stream for a long period of time, take a break. Even I do that. Oh, RLA, first of all, you're lucky to have a 3090. I've been looking for one, but I can't seem to, I mean, you know the problem with the 3090's availability. But it all depends on the size of your computer case, RLA. I have an Antec 1200 case, which is a relatively roomy case, although I found out, unfortunately, the hard way that it still isn't enough room for running 2 GPUs in SLI, which I used to do for video editing, which matters less now that I'm mostly on Twitch, but... Alright, so we need to just spam rest a bunch of times here because I've got a bit of a cash crop planted at the secret garden, and I would like to reaccumulate some of those. Mama Bonbon, you seem to be a pretty dedicated moderator, though, so he's very lucky to have you. And I appreciate your dropping by. I'm guessing you must have come in with the raid from the Doctor earlier as well. So what I'm doing here is essentially just passing time, because there's a gardening mechanic which tracks sleeping at inns as time passage, and the more time that passes, the more crops that grow. Yummy, you always start streaming after I've gone to bed. Or else you're streaming while I'm streaming. I don't know what to tell you, man. You and I seem to have exactly the same schedule, or non-schedule. Well, thank you, KSDG. I'm not sure quite what to call you. That looks like a username where you mashed your face on the keyboard a couple of times, so I don't know how to pronounce it. I hope KSDG is sufficient. But thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, okay. Well, RLA, what you could conceivably do to save yourself a little bit of money is just buy a bigger case and transfer all the components from the Alienware PC that you bought into a bigger case. Well, Yami, now you know my dilemma. Welcome to my world, man. That's what it's like, being a streamer. You gotta find the time somehow. Ah, that works too, Sylphie. That's fair. Yeah, nicknames are a good way, well, it depends, because sometimes with a nickname, it's not clear who you're referring to. And I now have the problem, Sylphie, where I have several people in chat that either have the same name in real life that they go by on Twitch, or nearly identical usernames, and so it can be difficult to differentiate them, which requires me then to give them nicknames. Well, KSDG, this is a somewhat unique series of JRPGs. The Wild Arms series began in, I want to say the mid-90s. It started on PS1, I think. And this is basically a series of JRPGs that, for the first at least 4 games, I think, they were Western-themed. So imagine a Japanese developer trying to make a JRPG set in an Old West type setting. And that's what this is. Well, Yummy, I feel your pain there. That's why I moved out. Oh, congrats, the doctor. That's awesome. Very impressive. Hey, and Georgia. How are you doing, Georgia? It's so good to see you. You must have just wrapped up your own stream not too long ago. Because I was lurking with you for a while. Thank you so much for dropping by. Guys, actually, while I'm at it, I probably should give a few different shout-outs here. I guess we'll just go in reverse order. First of all, everybody, please head on over and follow my friend Georgia. If you haven't met her already, you are in for a real treat. She is so sweet and so lovely, and just such a kind and gentle and fun-loving soul. She also happens to be trying very hard to reach partner status, and so I want to try and throw her a little bit of support if I possibly can, but she deserves it. She really does. She works very hard, and she has a very dedicated streaming schedule. She streams all different kinds of games. She's been working on Resident Evil 8 lately, as well as Nier and Persona 5 Royal. And she's just one of the most adorable individuals you will ever meet on Twitch. So please go check her out. Let me also, since I had my hands a bit tied when the rats came rolling in, for anybody who doesn't know my friend Clemps, please head on over and check him out as well. Clemps is another absolutely adorable individual, and somebody that if you don't know, you really should avail yourselves of a visit to his stream. Please do check him out. And finally, last but certainly not least, a viewer of mine for quite a while now, and one who has actually just started streaming himself and is working on getting his channel off the ground. He mainly has been streaming Nier Replicant recently, although he's been dabbling in a couple of other games as well. So please do check him out too. He turns out to be quite good at streaming for somebody who's spent so little time doing it. I'm very impressed so far with how well he's done. So there are my shout-outs. I am Georgia, thank you, and hey, you deserve it. I don't just hand out kindness where it's not deserved, Georgia. Yeah, Yami, he is. You probably just don't hang out with him enough to realize that. It is, Decoy, which is why when I was trying to figure out what game I felt like playing next on stream, I kept on coming back to Wild Arms 3 because I never finished it. I started streaming it a few years ago, and I didn't get very far into it before I got sidetracked with other things, but now, during the time when we're waiting for... Well, I'm waiting for the SMT3 remaster and then the Legend of Mana remaster, this seemed like a logical stopgap. I've been doing alright, thanks, Georgia. I'm actually, I don't know if excited is the right word, but I was able to get an appointment for later today around, I think it was for 1. I'm going to have to go confirm that, actually. But an appointment to get a vaccine for COVID, which apparently is going to be the Pfizer vaccine, which I'm happy about because that's the one that I preferred. So that's, if not exciting, then at least something positive. I mean, you can only be just so excited to go to the doctor and get a shot that might or might not cause lots of uncomfortable side effects, but I'm excited about the protection that I hope it will provide. Decoy, I'm honestly more concerned with whether or not it fixes how useless magic was in Legend of Mana. Yeah, Georgia, in the bigger picture, it'll be a good thing. Oh, did you, RLA? Very good. Oh, they do walk-ins on campus, Yami? You're very lucky then. Although in your case, Yami, I'm surprised you weren't able to get it through like a VA clinic or something. Yeah, Heartless Healer, same composer, Michiko Naruke. Oh, okay, Yami, I see. Gotcha. Yeah, Awkward Senpai, that's one way to learn how to whistle. Alright, let me check how many... Oh, 88, excellent. Actually, so, these are growing a lot faster than I expected, which means... Yeah, Decoy, that's correct. Oh, you go to the Chinese doctor, Yami? Does he prescribe you traditional medicine? Is that even actually covered by insurance, Yami, now that I think about it? God, the... Jumping over these crevices is probably the single worst mechanic in this game. There we go. Chinese medicine is covered. That's incredible, Yami. Genuinely astonishing. They're considered prescriptions? Wow. So that's how those doctors are able to stay in business. Alright, so what I want to do here, because this, in the early game, is the single best way to make money as soon as you become able to cultivate holy roots, is you sell 99 of them, and that's 25,000 Gela. Like, that's big money. That's bigger money than you can make farming gems. It's bigger money than you can make on absolutely anything else in the early game. Yeah, I heard about the bug, Decoy. That's one of the reasons I haven't gone back to play Wild Arms 4. Because Wild Arms 4 isn't available digitally, and there was never a remaster of it, so the only way to play it is to emulate an original copy or actually use a physical copy. Ah, Georgia, you might really like this game. This is a JRPG. But it's a JRPG in a Western setting as imagined by a mid-90s Japanese game developer. So, If we look, we got, actually, we've got some fairly nice character art here that, that is reasonably high resolution. So this is what the character designs are like. You can definitely see the Japanese influences, but the actual designs are attempting, anyway, to evoke the Wild West. Yeah, Georgia, the first couple of games came out in the 90s. This one, I think, actually came out in 2000 or 2001. This was a PS2 game originally. And most of the rest of the series after this were also PS2 games. Awkward Senpai, I heard a lot of criticism of Alter Code F. I never played it, but for some reason people seem not to like it all that much. Well, Yami, that's more like, Tetsuya Nomura equals belts and zippers. The thing is, Georgia, even though this was a PS2 game, the graphical style holds up remarkably well even today, because the developers made what in retrospect ended up being a very wise decision, which was, rather than trying to make the 3D models and environments in their game look realistic, they instead opted for a cel-shaded art style. And cel shading was not extremely new at the time. There were PS1 games that had used it, and there might even have been an N64 game or two that used it as well. That I don't remember, but the cel-shaded graphical style ended up working out a lot better because, well, for the precise reason that it didn't try to be realistic. You might be a little bit young to have played any of the games that came out of the PS1 generation when they were first released, Georgia. At least I get the impression you're fairly young. But, back in those days, almost every game that attempted to do realistic 3D ended up looking terrible. See, for example, Battle Arena Toshinden. What else? Virtua Fighter. The list goes on, so... Oh, 23! Oh, Georgia, I didn't realize you were that young. Okay, so then you definitely probably... Well, you definitely don't remember the PS1 generation firsthand. Yeah, if you go back and look at the art styles of a lot of PS1 games, you'll see some, Well, I might have an example here that I can show you. Digital Devil's Saga actually did okay, Decoy. But that was a PS2 game, I think. Here, here we go. All right. So... Georgia, most of the early 3D looked a lot like this. You're more PS2 gen... Oh, you did own a PS1! Ah, very cool. Okay. That's your childhood. All right, then. Much respect, Georgia. Normally, what I hear from people your age is that their first console was, like, the PS2 at least, or more commonly the PS3. Oh, okay, Decoy. I'm sorry, it's a little tough to keep track. Yeah, Heartless Healer, you saw this sort of thing a lot back in the PS1 era. Yeah, Decoy, it's interesting, the whole story about the Battle Arena Toshinden series. The only one I ever really played was 3, which I own, believe it or not. The only reason I own it is because back when I was Georgia's age, my parents were super anti-video game, and they refused to spend money on video games, so I had to buy them all with my own money, which meant I was making a lot of trips to the bargain bins at Walmart and very early on at Funko Land. Really, Georgia? Your parents let you name your younger siblings? You have an incredible family, Georgia. That's really impressive. All the more incredible that your parents were willing to play video games with you. I have never in my life been able to get my parents to play video games with me. I tried as a kid, but they just looked at me like I had asked them to eat dirt or something, like I had somehow offended them by asking them, and so I never had that luxury. I always had to rely on my friends in school for company while playing video games. Hello, nobleman, welcome. Oh, hello, Afro, welcome. Your dad loved Gears of War and Ridge Racer? That's incredible, Georgia. Well, Georgia, your parents have never met me, but next time you see them, please tell them that a colleague of yours on the internet thinks they're cool. It might have, Heartless Healer. I never played Fear Effect, because I've never been into horror games, and even as a kid, I stayed away from them for the most part. The only exception was when a friend of mine, when I was 12, lent me Resident Evil 2. The original Resident Evil 2 on the PS1, and I played that. Even your grandmother would play the PS1 with you? Oh, that's incredible, Georgia. So I'm guessing your parents and even your grandmother are probably not all that old. I imagine they're probably pretty young as well. Oh, very cool, Awkward Senpai. You're very lucky in that regard. The only times I usually got to go to arcades as a kid were when there happened to be one at the place where my mother was running errands or something, and I would hang out there while she was doing her thing. Yeah, right, Decoy. Clock Tower is one of the hardest games ever, if you're not already familiar with it. I don't think I would want to play Clock Tower blind, frankly, Decoy. Oh, your mother's only 48 and your dad's 60. Okay, Georgia, interesting. See, both of my parents are in their late 60s. They're only a couple of years apart, actually. So I guess that might explain why they were so resistant to video games, or it might help explain it anyway. Yeah, join the club, nobleman. Welcome. Yeah, Benji, that was an interesting attempt at... really, I think that sort of game design was more experimental than anything else. Oh, okay, Georgia. Actually, now that you mention that, Georgia, you might get along really well with a friend of mine. And in fact, I think the two of you would really like each other, actually. You should drop by and check her out. This is my friend Sam, and actually she's in the very same situation you are, Georgia, except it's the opposite. She's the oldest sibling. She's, in fact, I think almost exactly her age. I believe she's 24. And she has a couple of younger siblings who are like 6 and 7. Also, Georgia, she has the most adorable husky named Finn. I think he's a husky German Shepherd mix. based on his coloration. He's definitely not a purebred husky, but he's adorable. And he's also part of the draw of her stream. You should check them both out. He's probably going to have his own channel one of these days. No, Heartless Healer, it is not, but that's a very good question. Because the art style in Mega Man Legends does look pretty close to cell shading. But I don't believe it technically is. I think it's just regular 3D models that happen to have really pastel-toned textures. If I remember correctly, Heartless. Ah, excellent, Georgia. Perfect. So much the better. Yeah, I think you'll really like her. Plus, since I realize it's a little bit trickier being a female streamer than being a male streamer, I try to help my my female friends and colleagues network with each other a little bit and point them to other women on Twitch who are doing good things and who might be sources of inspiration or solidarity or support. So I hope that helps a little bit. Yeah, Decoy, that's what I remember. I believe that Legends is not technically cel-shaded, although it's close. Oh, no worries, Georgia. Thank you for helping me support her. And thank you always for stopping in here as well. It's always such a pleasure to see you. Yeah, no problem, Heartless Healer. I hope that information is helpful. And Decoy is usually pretty well researched, and we've had him corroborate that, so I'm probably right. I hope I am. Being wrong is no fun, but I'm often wrong. Oh, well, thank you, Georgia. That's very sweet of you. It's a privilege to have you. Frankly, it's a privilege to have any of you here. I'm amazed anybody comes to hang out with me while I sit here drinking tea and talking about food with chat and forgetting to play the game I'm supposed to be playing. Speaking of tea, anybody like Earl Grey? I like Earl Grey. I like it so much I've been drinking it for the past 2 weeks. Alright, I think that should be enough sleep-in for now. Let's go check the garden again. Okay. 3 spears stand firmly in the ground. They appear to be ceremonial articles. They're so big, I wonder if Gallows knows what they're for. Well, since we can only examine those things once, I guess we'll never know. Oh, does your brother like tea, RLA? Or is he just beginning to get his feet wet with tea? I realize only now, after I say it, that using the expression "get your feet wet" somehow sounds a little bit lewd when you use it in reference to drinking tea. I don't know why, but... Oh, gross, nobleman, no! What kind of heathen do you take me for? Come to that, nobleman, what kind of heathen are you? Actually, Yami would probably appreciate that, nobleman. Yami is like the little devil on my shoulder, always encouraging me to do things that aren't terrible, but that are just slightly suspect. Okay, Yami, yeah, that makes sense. That's close enough. Oh, he's been on a tea kick. Okay. Well, RLA, if you'd like suggestions... You know where to find me. You only drink sangria and water. Well, nobleman, maybe it's time to expand your tastes a little bit. Step outside your comfort zone, you know? Take a walk on the wild side. I mean, I say that, but I don't tend to think of tea as being anywhere near the wild side. If I were going to tell you to take a walk on the wild side, I would recommend that you blend your tea with, like, I don't know, Bovril or something. And I would never recommend that anybody drink their tea with Bovril, because that would just be masochistic. Alright. That's another 24,000 Gela. Well, Yami, that's why I don't drink this stuff. I never liked bubble tea. I mean, I don't generally like sweet drinks in the first place, other than maybe some, you know, fruit juice with my breakfast or something, you know, like a glass of pineapple juice or orange juice or something. But other than that, I'm not really fond of sweet drinks. Cayenne pepper, Ultima. You want to talk about masochism? I had actually heard that before the two of you were talking about it, Decoy, yeah. Oh, right, we didn't... okay. Awkward Senpai, purely out of curiosity, did you grow up in America? Because I'm pretty sure that 9 out of 10 of my viewers who grew up in America have told me that they have a sweet tooth. I certainly used to as a kid. But then again, I also grew up in America. I'll tell you what, I don't miss the food. Although, I think part of that is my bias against the kind of cooking my parents used to do. Really, Decoy? Oh, yeah, of course not, because of the acid. Alright. Am I short on any... You know... Magic... Wait, no. Oh, call whistles. I should probably pick up a few more of these. Well, Yami, exactly, which is just one more reason why I don't get bubble tea at those kinds of places or anywhere. No, Ultima, although, thank you for reminding me, I did intend to rename a couple of the spells that we've just gotten. Well, Yami, I mean, I feel like if you spent any amount of time in America, you develop either a sweet tooth or a taste for fast food. One or the other, if not both. No, Decoy, it does not. As it is, I'm already going to have enough trouble making the SMT3 remaster last for an entire month until the Legend of Mana remaster is available. I really would like to find another game or two to play in the meantime that I can alternate between, but... Hello, Nate! Welcome! Well, nobleman, if your parents did most of the cooking from scratch, and if what they were making was even a little bit traditional, then I can see how you would have dodged the bullets there. Hey, Lauriatius, welcome! My parents just never learned how to cook. Or never learned how to cook properly. So, what I ate at home as a kid was either bland and completely unseasoned if my mother made it, or sometimes just out of a jar or a can if my mother made it. Or if my father made it, it would be every bloody thing but the kitchen sink, to the point where you couldn't even tell what you were eating anymore. Ah, gross, nobleman. I can't stand MSG. Honestly, RLA, even 15% sugar is a substantial amount of sugar. Mind you, I don't like things that are artificially sweet, but I do enjoy fruit. Like, I like oranges, I love raspberries and blackberries. Of course, the kinds of fruit I like best tend to be the most expensive kinds, right? The raspberries, the blackberries, strawberries, which actually strawberries are starting to come into season now in Europe. And blood oranges in particular from Italy are starting to become more common in grocery stores here. And I do like blood oranges. Cara oranges as well, I especially like. Oh, Awkward Senpai, you're talking about stuff like sugar substitutes? Sucralose and xylitol and stevia, those kinds of things. Yeah, RLA, the funny thing is, back at my parents' house in Connecticut, in the backyard, because they live at the bottom of a hill, and the property extends up the hill a short distance. I mean, it's not a large hill. It's maybe like a 30-foot hill. But up at the top, there are wild black raspberry vines that eventually ended up taking over that entire section of the property. And I used to love that as a kid because they did produce berries. And once the vines took over enough of the hilltop, it was possible for us to go up there and harvest, like, basket after basket of wild black raspberries. And they weren't all that big, but you could still get enough of them that you could stuff your face with them. And boy, they were good. Totally organic, too. No pesticides, and, you know, the land that they were growing on was clean. Hello, Nightshade. Welcome. Yeah, Awkward. I personally am not a fan of sugar substitutes. Generally, the most sugar that I can tolerate is, like, fruit sugar. And even then, some of the fruits that I enjoy tend to be on the sort of sweet tart side. Like, I enjoy Cape gooseberries, which have almost like a 50-50 balance of sweetness and tartness, at least if you get them ripe. Well, Afro, xylitol is one of the less offensive sugar substitutes I've had. And unlike sucrose or fructose, it supposedly is actually good for your teeth. I'm not entirely sure what the science is behind it. I haven't really researched it that closely because I don't exactly consume a great deal of xylitol, but it's interesting to me that that's apparently the case. A fig tree, Nightshade. Now that's something I could get on board with. It is so difficult to find fresh figs anywhere, Nightshade. I mean, I could ask my parents to send you some black raspberries, but I don't think they'd make it through the mail. Honestly, Yami, there are worse things you could be addicted to than chocolate. I've heard that there are health benefits to chocolate. Oh, did I? Okay, hang on. It looks like somehow the holy roots I planted did not automatically regerminate. I thought for some reason that they would be replanted automatically or regerminated. Well, whoops. Now I know. I bet, RLA. I bet the pineapple in Hawaii is second to none. It's just like Pakistan is famous for their mangoes. I mean, there are a few things Pakistan is famous for, but mangoes are apparently a huge export from Pakistan, and I guess the Pakistani mangoes are supposed to taste way, way better than mangoes from any other part of the world. Yeah, welcome to my world, Loriatius. It's too late to order out because everything in Germany closes at like 8 p.m. That's one way to do it, nobleman. Scheduling order system and oh, Yami, you mean to schedule a delivery time? It's funny you say that, Yami. I've never actually used Uber Eats. Do they not have a way of scheduling your delivery? Yes, Loriatius. In fact, I'm relying desperately on the SMT3 remaster to help carry me through the end of this month and the beginning of June as far as games to stream. Oh, okay, Yami. You mean like recurring deliveries? Honestly, nobleman, for a game that old, I hope they don't. But, I mean, if they do, if they issue one of those ridiculous advisories like they did for Persona 5, then, I think at this point, I might just test them to see how serious they are about enforcing it, because they seem to have forgotten all about how aggressively they pushed their guidelines for Persona 5. Oh, no kidding, RLA. That's fascinating. What country's military were your parents a part of? Yeah, nobleman, they issued the same kind of advisory for P5R that they did for P5 Vanilla, but either they eventually forgot about it, or they were never that serious about enforcing it, because I heard some stories about how, in the beginning, they were going after some big streamers over the advisory, but I think, from what I've been able to piece together, what happened, as far as I can tell, was that they realized the Atlas Japan overlords, specifically, realized that not only was it impractical to try to police the entire internet for spoilers about their game, but it was probably very costly to try to do so as well. So my guess is they eventually just gave up on it. Because by the time I got around to streaming P5R, I was very conscious of the possibility that they might go after me for it. But they never did, and I streamed the whole game, start to finish. All of it, including all the extra content. So I have to think that either I slipped through the cracks somehow, which I suppose is still possible, or they just gave up trying to enforce it. Well, Yami, unfortunately, there are still plenty of Japanese developers that are going nuts enforcing their content management policies. USA RLA, okay, gotcha. I don't know, Decoy. I don't have any good way of finding out what the original impetus was behind their sudden over-aggressive stance on spoilers for those games. They did the same thing with Puyo Puyo Tetris, of all games, and that makes me think that it wasn't related to actual story spoilers, but that it was more of a procedural thing that somebody decided to do simply because they thought that it needed to be done, and it was what people normally did. Because Puyo Puyo Tetris is not exactly a game you think of when you think of story, right? Or when you think of any need to really worry about spoilers. Yami, that does not matter. The size of a developer has no relationship to how out of touch and ignorant they are. Oh, good, Sagari. I consider myself to have, done my job if I influenced you in that manner. Yeah, Cursed Nobleman, we couldn't have the fans getting spoiled on how that love triangle between Square and L Block ends. Wow, RLA, that is impressive. It sounds like you've had quite a run of time in Germany, RLA. I don't know, Yami. Falcom has gotten their name out there. Funny thing is, I couldn't tell you which games they've made, but I do know of the developer. You know, I've probably heard the name Falcom a lot more than I've heard of any of the games they've developed. Which probably is a grim indicator of what sort of company they are in terms of their PR. Well, Decoy, that's probably why I've only heard of the company and not anything they've actually made. It sounds to me like Falcom are a bunch of quitters. Really, Nobleman? Ys and Trails of Cold Steel are Falcom? Okay, well that explains a lot then. Okay, yeah, that stands to reason. I've definitely heard of both of those franchises. I guess I didn't realize they were Falcom. But you know what? That explains why Marcus was having so much trouble streaming the Ys game that he tried to stream a while ago. Because of Falcom's asinine content management policies. Because I remember Marcus started a playthrough of one of the East games, and then he canceled it because I guess Falcom started being problematic for him. All right. Yeah, Decoy, I mean, it sounds like they did that to themselves. They release a game, people want to play it and talk about it, and they're like, no, you may not talk about our game, you may only play. People are like, okay, well, kiss your word-of-mouth marketing goodbye, I guess. No, RLA, Falcom was going nuts DMCAing people who were trying to stream them. Marcus, whom you might know better as Epic Name Bro, my friend Marcus, he tried to stream East a while ago, and he ran into that exact same sort of trouble with it, as I recall. Alright. Yeah, Yami, which is why it sure is a shame that Falcom is so out of touch. Well, Decoy, and that's why I don't play any Nintendo games or own any Nintendo hardware, is, their treatment of their community, and especially of, content creators, does not warrant my support. And until or unless they change their stance on that, my stance will remain the same as well. Geez, Skeleton Man, they sound like they're quite, heavy on the writing. Mind you, after playing Disco Elysium, I don't think I'll ever be able to look at any other story-heavy games in quite the same way again. Oh man, Disco Elysium. What an unusual, but brilliantly designed game. Yeah, it's bizarre, Yami. You'd think they'd realize how badly they're hurting themselves, but a lot of those companies just don't. Because I guess they're too stubborn. Oh, Decoy, Kuon specifically was, popular. It had a cult following even before Dark Souls took off. Although the increased prevalence of the Souls series and all of the additional fame that it's brought FromSoft over the past 12 years has certainly helped expand the popularity of some of their other IPs. I mean, look what happened with Metal Wolf Chaos, Decoy. And people are even playing Armored Core and Kingsfield more often now. Like, I frequently see people doing streams of Kingsfield as a throwback to the pre-Souls days. Matter of fact, my friend Lance McDonald actually was just streaming Kuon recently. I think he just completed it a few days ago. Yeah, Decoy, I don't know what it is with the PAL versions of these games getting so badly shafted so often, but... game developers just seem to hate Europe. You might as well be at that point, nobleman, yeah. Amazing, Decoy. Decoy, at that point, it's starting to sound like the battle theme of Persona 3, right? The one that starts like a Justin Bieber song? Baby, 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 baby. That one? It is RLA, but apparently not so full of amazing video games. Yeah, that one, nobleman. Alright. Now, before I forget, I wanted to go rename a couple of spells. Shane! I don't think this needs to be... This just helps make it a little bit more clear for me which spell is which. Because, I mean, obviously I'm going by Final Fantasy conventions here, but it just makes them so much easier to remember when the name of the spell actually gives you some indication of what the spell does. This one especially. Like, what the hell kind of name is Inspire for a thunder attack? Yeah, it does sound like it should be a buff. Heartless Healer. And then this Eraser is, it has genuinely the wrong description. This is supposed to be... its effect is basically Dispel. It removes buffs from enemies. And, like, why... Let's just finish this. Call it what it is. This is a really stupidly ambiguous name. Believe it or not, this is a light elemental spell, so... Now I actually will be able to tell what it is at a glance. And then this one, this is the same problem. This is effectively Isuna. But I'm gonna do one better because Isuna isn't even very clear. There we go. I don't think so, Heartless Healer, because you can see that there are plenty of letter slots here for it. This we can do better as well. Sometimes the poetic name is not the best one. And like pressure, that could be any element. Typically I would look at this and immediately think a non-elemental attack, but no, this is water. Yeah, Heartless, it comes down to an inconsistent localization. Like, the localization team did a pretty good job with the Texan accent overall, but anything that was translated from Japanese to English, where the original Japanese was an eclectic or idiosyncratic or otherwise uniquely Japanese bastardization of English words, where they use the word in Japanese in a way that it would not normally be used in English, those tended not to translate very well. And this we can do better, actually. Yeah, RLA, it's really helpful to be able to change the names of some of these. Matter of fact. Just, you can make them so much clearer. Yeah, Awkward Senpai, exactly. 1982, so not that much earlier than Square, Yami. Alright, by a few years, Yami, yeah. But older doesn't necessarily mean better. Now that was the non-elemental attack. Yeah, like... Now, this type of spell, the one that raises your evasion, this usually has a Japanese name in the Final Fantasy series. Usually this is a form of ninjutsu, or sometimes they call it blink. Actually... Oh, no, Heartless, usually it's a permutation of Utsusemi no Jutsu, which is the shadow image status. Historically speaking, it's the ninjutsu art where you would have basically a paper silhouette of a person, and it would be placed in a location where it would draw enemy attacks in place of the actual target. It was used very differently in real life, as I understand it, than it typically is in video games. In video games, it creates, like, replication images of the caster, so it's more of basically a magic spell in games. What arcana was I even renaming? Oh, this is the one that decreases magic defense. Okay. Actually... I feel like senility is a much better word than feeble mind. Sleep is garbage. It always misses. Hoxpox is a stupid name. What this actually does is it temporarily increases your allies' luck. Its usefulness is only very limited, because I believe it only works in battle, and then after battle, its effect wears off. Oh, Decoy, you're giving Nobleman the rundown on the names of spells in the SMT series, I see. Yeah, and Agi is, or I think it's just pronounced Ag, or something along those lines. It's just the word for fire in Hindi. Although Agni is a fire deity, I think, in Hinduism. Yeah, that's a little bit more permanent, Awkward Senpai. That, at least, lasts until the next battle, where Hoxpox does not. Shin Megami Tensei, RLA. It's basically the forerunner of the Persona games. And it actually started with, I believe the very first game in the series was Revelations Persona, which I want to say was a PS1 game? But it might have been even earlier than that. Decoy would probably know. Awkward Senpai, for better or worse, luck is actually a really important mechanic in this game. Not only does it affect treasure chests and crit chance, it also affects the activation rate of your skills. It affects your character's evasion. It affects the success rate at which status ailments can proc. There are a lot of things that it influences. Yeah, RLA, it's just that SMT is a little bit less cumbersome to wrap your tongue around than Shin Megami Tensei. Hello, Fontez! Oh, actually, Fontez! Thank you for the information you posted in the dining room. I appreciate your elucidating, the history of Carne del Sol. No, Nobleman, it doesn't. It varies from character to character. Each character has a specialization in a different stat. And it's up to you to either double down on their strengths or try to shore up their weaknesses. Or to do a little bit of both. You have a fair amount of choice in how you do that. Okay, anyway. Random elemental attack through servant device. This I'm not 100% sure about. I don't remember exactly what this does. All I remember is that it sucks. Well, Awkward Senpai, Clive is kind of set up with the intention of being turned into your big damage dealer. Because he already has a specialization in physical attack. Not to mention defense and, to at least some extent, HP. So he makes a decent tank as well. Although Gallows ends up being the, ironically, as your main magic user, Gallows also ends up being probably your main tank, because he specializes in HP and in defense as well. Which I appreciate. I appreciate that this game, doesn't succumb quite so hard to all the standard JRPG tropes, where normally a guy like Clive would be the mage. On the other hand, the problem it creates is that characters like Virginia and Jet end up being less useful overall, because they don't really have much in the way of offensive options. Virginia is basically support, and Jet isn't even really all that good at support. I always feel like Gallows and Clive are the only ones who do any real damage. Virginia is the one feeding everybody mini carrots, or later on, full carrots, and making sure that the damage dealers get to spam their moves. Like, Virginia's role, at the very least, is clear, right? With Mystic, and then when you give her the dried flower, which doubles the effect of berries, or increases the effect of berries, I think, Virginia becomes your best healer. Gallows, unfortunately, because the heal spell is so trash, and it doesn't keep up with healing demands outside, like, the prologue, Gallows really falls off as a healer. And he ends up basically being just a nuker and an AoE buffer after a while. So, Virginia's role as a support character is pretty clearly defined. The one that really suffers the most, I feel like, is Jet. Because Jet's abilities focus on having high speed, but his speed still isn't as high as Virginia's. He has Accelerator to make up for it, but Accelerator doesn't do anything for his attack power. So the only situations where Jet is really useful are generally if you need to finish off an enemy that's already weakened first thing on the first turn of that round, or if you absolutely have to cure somebody's status ailment before anyone takes any action that round. Jet, I tend to find, is a poor damage dealer. He's a poor tank. He's a poor support character. So I don't know what role they really intended for him. Because absolutely everything he can do, he does not do as well as the other three party members. Oh, right. Valiant. Okay. Well, we've got a perfect name for this. Much, much better name than Valiant. And this randomizer is so generic. I think we can do a little bit better here. Armando Benitez Jr., thank you so much for the 2 gift subs to Shadow Swords and Iron Fungus. Really appreciate that. How are you doing, Armando? I hope all is well. Fontez, the original spell names in this game can be really ambiguous and unclear, and sometimes they're just stupid. But fortunately, the developers give you the ability to change them. Oh, I hope you feel better soon, Armando. Gonna lurk and eat food. Good stuff, Armando. Enjoy your lurk, enjoy your dinner, and once again, speedy recovery to you. I really hope you start feeling better soon. Thank you so much for dropping by. It's always good to see you. Yeah, Fontez, something clearer and a little bit more, you know, rational. And this one, if I remember correctly, this summons a little machine that, that performs a random elemental attack that, if I remember correctly, always seems to do 1 damage. Some of them I did, Yami, only because the Final Fantasy spell list uses names that, for the most part, actually make a lick of sense. Like, in Final Fantasy's terminology, the spell that increases your character's action speed and lets them take more actions in the same amount of time is called haste. In this game, it's called reflex, which is a much more ambiguous and less clear word. So, stuff like that, you know? If somebody else uses a better word for it, then sure, I'll borrow it. And if there is no better word for it in another system, then I'll use my own. Well, yeah, Artista, you are hastening your actions, as opposed to reflex. Reflex makes me think of the doctor hitting me on the knee with a rubber hammer. You know, like, that doesn't help me know what the spell does. And, for example, the spell that increases your evasion is called Turbulence. And, for all I know, Turbulence sounds like a wind attack. You know, I mean, I think most of us have experienced turbulence while flying on an aircraft. To me, that just makes me think of aircraft turbulence, like I'm being attacked by wind at Mach 0.06. Or, well, Mach 0.6, rather. Yeah, something like that, Noah Bad. Right, if this is the spell I think it is, and I'm pretty sure it is. Oh, I've never played Dragon Quest, Rormalin. The only game in that series I've ever touched is the very, very first one, which was Dragon Warrior in the West. Alright, I think that's the correct spell. We'll have to try it out and see if it is the one I think it is. I don't think I slept already, did I? I don't even remember. Let's just... Let's just go check the... Well, first of all, okay, 99 holy roots, good. So now we have to go to Jolly Roger and sell these, and this will be the last time I do this, because I don't want to just spend the whole stream farming. I do want to actually go make some progress, but I want some money first. And I really want to upgrade everybody's arms first. Alright, yeah, look at that. 120,000 Gela. That right there is what I like. Yeah, that sweet, sweet crit modifier. And we'll go one weight. Alright, Virginia's good to go. Now poor Jet needs an attack boost because... Virginia's now dealing more damage than he is. No, Armando, I'm actually, I'm using a little exploit to, acquire some money. Yeah, Fontes, I did. Somebody clarified it for me. Apparently, weight decreases the amount of FP that it costs to use Gatling. And once whoever it was told me that, it did ring a bell, like... I knew it back in the day, but I guess I forgot. Because it's been such a long time since I played this. Alright, I don't remember if I already slept. Oh, it looks like I did. But not nearly enough. Ah, phew, first try. I really hate how the most difficult thing in this game, even more difficult than the boss fights, is getting your horse to jump over a chasm. It's ridiculous. I don't know who programmed this, but it must have been an intern. I really don't want to go through this another time, but... Jet desperately needs an attack boost, because we need him to be good for something. He has no magic power, he's garbage at casting. We need him to at least be good at something. Asa, I can assure you it's nothing like Tales of Symphonia. Really, Lauriatius? I'm surprised to hear that. Although, maybe the cynic in me isn't surprised to hear that, but everyone else... Every other, you know... Every other side of me, I guess, is surprised. I know, Armando, the irony of that fact is not lost on me. But the simple truth is, there just aren't any good games out for PS5 right now. I mean, there's a handful, but I've already played those of them that I care to play, you know? I played the Demon's Souls remake. That one's pretty good. I have some issues with it, but overall it's good. But other than that, almost everything that's PS5 exclusive now is just these little $5 visual novels, or these 2-hour games that are just insubstantial. Like, there's nothing. I've only really been able to play PS4 games on my PS5 so far. No, Noah Bad, those games bore me to death. Besides which, most of them are erotic. Or borderline erotic. I guess PSN does have some minimal standards, but most of them are just dating sims, which bores me to death even more. Yeah, Lauriatius, you'd think Sony would make a little bit more effort to ensure that there's enough supply to meet demand. Mind you, I realize the microchip shortage, and I think recently there was a fire at one of the factories that provides components for the PS5s, so that's not going to help matters, but... I have not, Noah Bad, nor do I have any interest in it. I made no such promise, Armando. How did that rumor spread? That's probably Monotone and Mantis Man who spread that. Noah Bad, we don't all have stimulus checks if we live in the United States. Those of us in other countries do. On a monthly basis in many cases, but not if you're American. Yes, I'm sure they did, Decoy, and I know exactly who the cooks are. Hello, Zero Side. Yeah, it's been a fair few years since I've played this as well. I know, Armando, I probably sounded more serious than I was. I know it's a joke. It's a joke that was started by a couple of people on my Discord server. I'm just a little bit dismayed that it's spread as far as it has. Hello, Red. Welcome. Good to see you. Alright, that should be enough, I hope. Oh, yummy. All right. Ugh. There we go. Oh, you did, Awkward. Very cool. I appreciate that, Armando. It means a lot to me to know that there are people who will show up no matter what I play. Alright. Now I think we need to refresh these because they do have a tendency to run out after a while. Well, Pixel, you say that, but the fact of the matter is, and you can't really fault anybody for this, right? Because this is just people's different preferences at work in how they prefer to consume their content. But there are people who show up for the broadcaster, and there are people who show up for the game. For example, and this is the example that I always give because it's the handiest and the easiest and the most readily demonstrable, I think, is whenever I play a Souls game, my viewership is at least triple what it is when I play anything else. And that's not just randoms finding their way in who want to watch a Souls stream. That's people who are subscribed to me, you know, people who've been following for a long time, or who are subscribed on YouTube, who are only interested in watching me play a Souls game, and who won't necessarily show up for Wild Arms 3 because maybe Marcus is playing Dark Souls, or, you know, maybe Vadi is streaming because he rarely streams, and people tend to try to catch his streams because they're so rare. But it's that sort of thing where there are some people who show up for any stream if they're available, and there are those who show up only depending upon what game is being played. Yikes, Red! It's taken them that long to load the truck? Well, I'm happy to have you hang out for as long as you feel you'd like to. Alright, I feel like for Jet, we absolutely need to jack up his attack power. We need to make him useful somehow. Oh, Noabad, I see you're a fan of liver. I really appreciate that, nobleman. And that as well, Asa. Yeah, I mean, in fairness, Asa, I ignore tutorials if it's a game I've already played. Like, I haven't needed the tutorials in Wild Arms 3, right? But other than that, if it's a game I'm brand new to, then yes, I'm bloody well gonna take the time to learn how to play it. I don't know how many times I've watched somebody stream a Souls game on Twitch, because every now and then I do find myself looking for something to watch as well. And in those situations, I tend to just browse the categories for games that that I enjoy or that I'm familiar with, and often enough it's a Souls game. Because as much as I'm burned out on playing them, I'm not as burned out on seeing other people play them, because you only get one first playthrough. We've talked about this. And the next best thing to that, once you've had your first playthrough, is to experience it vicariously through someone else. Lauriatius, SHT stands for shot, and that's basically just your damage, your gun attack power. BLT is bacon, lettuce, tomato. It's a type of sandwich. No, I'm sorry. It's bullet, and it's how many rounds your arm can fire before you have to reload. And WGT is weight. Yeah, Yami, and look at what most of those games are. 70 to 80% of the PS5 games, Yami, are going to be those $5 low-budget, like PS1 level 3D or visual novel type games. Anyway, the point, before I get sidetracked from that, was I don't know how many times I've stopped into a Dark Souls stream or a Demon Souls stream and watched somebody playing the game for their first time blast through the tutorial area, not read any messages, skip through all of Oscar's dialogue, and then get mad when they get their face bashed in by the asylum demon, you know? And all I can think is, well, you asked for it. I sure as hell am not going to be that guy. No worries, Loriatius. These days, it's not exactly a well-known series because they kind of stopped making it in like 2007, 2008. It just sort of dropped off the face of the earth. Well, I appreciate that, Heavens Cloud. JRPGs tend to work pretty well with my style of streaming because I'm not good at dividing my attention, and I'm also very focused on chat, so the lack of pressure for reaction time in JRPGs and the more laid-back pacing makes it much easier for me to balance my attention between chat and the game. And when I say balance, I guess what I really mean is alternate. Let's call it what it is. Yeah, it's a bit of an emotional roller coaster, Armando, isn't it? Well, Asa, sometimes it does. Games that I first played when I was very young definitely landed different when I first played them than they do now. Like, I first played Final Fantasy VII when I was 12. Like, within a month of that game coming out, I had purchased it and played it. And I'll tell you what, at 12 years old, a lot of the jokes in that game went completely over my head. And then when I went back and played it later at like 25, I thought, wow, how did I miss that the first time? And Final Fantasy VII wasn't the only example of... Hey, Ryuji, how you doing? Good to see you, Ryuji. Thank you so much for the raid. Let me give this fine gentleman a shout-out, everybody. Everyone, please head on over and check out my buddy Ryuji. He has been streaming for quite a while, and I frequently see him on at all kinds of odd hours. Not that I'm one to talk, but he streams mainly Japanese games, from what I can tell, and has been a viewer of mine for a very long time. Drop by and leave him a follow. Check him out sometime. He's a good guy. How are you doing, Ryuji? Welcome. Sounds about right, Morteferu. Morteferu, you do realize, now that you've mentioned owning a cat, you're obligated to post pictures. Ah, congrats, Ryuji. I'll be getting my first dose later today. Well, I say today, okay, yes, it technically is today. It'll be, in fact, in exactly 12 hours. Oh, no kidding, Armando. That's awesome. What kinds of teas have you been enjoying recently, Armando? Right, Loriatius, imagine. Frankly, they're not really very readily available in Germany. I've been trying to get an appointment for weeks. And no luck. But it just happened that one of the places I called, one of the clinics, called me back this morning and said, hey, can you be available tomorrow? And I said, I sure can! Ah, geez, Loriatius. Ah, Jasmine Silver Needle. White teas are really nice, aren't they, Armando? I'm so glad you were able to find some that you liked, and I'm happy to have been able to help out with that. Yeah, Asa, it's funny, isn't it? How the countries with socialized healthcare systems are doing a little bit better. And not only that, but the countries where there's an organized federal-level approach. Unlike in Germany, where until recently it was being left to the individual states. Yeah, Asa, that's kind of how I've been rationalizing it to myself. Is that, you know, I haven't been too desperate to get a vaccine yet because there are a lot of older folks in Germany who still haven't gotten theirs, and I feel like they're higher priority than me because they're at much higher risk. I mean, I leave the house maybe once a week to go grocery shopping. Other than that, I work entirely from home. Ah, thank you, Mortiferu. Look at this adorable fluff ball. Mortiferu, actually, he looks a lot like Devilish's cat. He has almost an identical color pattern. Who've had what, Decoy? COVID or the vaccine? Oh, Fontes, do you have a cat too? Jeez, Decoy. Let's see, Fontes. Aww. That's adorable, Fontes. They're so cute. That orange one looks awfully comfy. Then again, the brown one does too. I see the brown one's got his head on a pillow. Or no, that's a towel. The look on the orange one's face just screams, "Turn the light off, human, we were sleeping." Oh, congrats, Mortiferro. I'm glad to hear that you were able to get an appointment. Jesus, warrior. Hello, Sam of Stars. Welcome. Oh, good re-enfrenchments. I'm glad the side effects didn't last too long for you. I'm a little bit worried about the side effects, but I'm a lot more worried about going without the vaccine. Hey, Mantis Man, welcome. We'd probably be done here by now if I could divide my attention enough to focus on chatting with all of you and performing the very simple button inputs that are necessary for sleeping in these cots. Yeah, Ghostwriter, personally, I'm looking forward to having better internet because German internet's garbage. I could use the 5G. Hello, CB, welcome! Thank you so much for stopping in, I hope you've been well. Well, Mortiferro, I've heard some people barely get any of the side effects, and some people get them really severely. So it sounds like you were one of the lucky ones. Oh, Ghostwriter, that's interesting, because I've had memes leaking out my ears for decades now. I wonder what'll happen when I get the first dose of the vaccine. Yeah, Yami, if you could stop at the butcher on the way to McDonald's, or preferably on the way home, and, grab me a 7 or 8 pound brisket, I'd really appreciate it. I'll pay you back. Thanks, man. Hey, good luck, Artista, and congratulations. Hibernation, Mantis Man? What are you talking about? Thanks, Yami. You're a bro. Yeah, Yami, I'll have a number 9 large, a number 6 with extra dip, 2 number 7s, a number 45. How the hell did the rest of that go? I don't even remember. Right, nobleman, right. We can't forget the large soda. Amazing, Ghostwriter. Well, I mean, it has its perks, I guess. Might be an improvement in some ways. Alright, let's get one more attack boost for Jet, and then I think we can call it a day as far as farming money is concerned, because if I were doing this off stream, I could sit here for the entire afternoon and just sell holy roots. But this only stays an efficient way to make money for another maybe chapter or so, chapter and a half. What does Jet's next attack upgrade cost? 37.5. Asa, because the only alternatives as far as, what do you call it? As far as getting our hands on money at this point in the game are concerned, pale in comparison to how easy this is, if a bit tedious, but... I'm farming right now to get some attack upgrades for Jet, because Jet, unfortunately, is the most useless character in the game, and the only way of really redeeming him a little is to boost his gun attack power. Although once we have gotten far enough into the game that we can give him the martial arts ability, then he will become a useful damage dealer. Albeit in an ironic way. Well, Awkward Senpai, and more to the point, there are very few opportunities in the first 3 chapters of the game, including the prologue. Like, the prologue, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, and even really the first half or so of Chapter 3, there are very few opportunities to use Gela cards without having them completely go to waste. Because most bosses in the early game don't even drop as much Gela as you get for selling a Gela card. Like, the Gela cards sell for 1,500, and most bosses in the early game give you less than that. So you're better off selling the Gela card than you are using it on a boss. There are a few bosses that are exceptions, but you don't really start encountering situations where it's worth using Gela cards, or even lucky cards, which double your experience, until you get around the halfway mark. Which is one of the weird things about this game. They really hold out on you for enemies that give you experience and money. They really don't seem to want you farming during the early game. Of course, I don't think they counted on me completing the side quest for the Secret Garden 10 levels early and gaining like 16,000 experience from that for the entire party and immediately gaining those 10 levels. Ah, Mortefera, you seem to really like ginger tea. You've mentioned before that you had that on a number of occasions. I like ginger in certain culinary applications. I don't mind it in tea as long as the tea is just ginger tea, but... Well, or ginger licorice. I've had pretty decent ginger licorice tea as well. Asa, items are often the only way to do low-level runs. Like, sometimes you can't make it through a low-level run if you don't have enough items, because the items will just carry you, you know? I cook with it occasionally when I'm making an Asian dish, Morteferu, yeah. I don't put it in everything, though. I feel like it has, its time and place. Really, Decoy, ginger doesn't bother you, even though onions do? I'm surprised to hear that. Ah, good stuff, Fontez, good stuff. Decoy, normally when I cook with ginger, I grate it. So that I don't get big chunks of it, because I like it when the flavor is evenly infused. I know it's not the same, Decoy. I know the volatile compounds are different, but I would have thought that something as spicy as ginger would be problematic for you, considering what you've described before. Mind you, you're lucky that it's not. At least you've got some way of adding flavor. Oh, very good, Awkward. I hope it turned out all right. A little of both, Armando. If I have leftover tea, like after a stream, if I've got tea that I still haven't finished, I'll put it in the refrigerator and chill it, and then I'll just drink it chilled. That works better with some kinds of tea than with others. Like, it works well with black teas and green teas. Some oolongs as well, but not so much with white tea or tisanes, at least in my opinion. Gotcha, Decoy. Awkward, good on you for trying a new dish. I always try to encourage people to do their own cooking and to try new things. So it makes me happy to hear that you had some success with your first shot at Torikatsudon. My preferred katsu dish is curry, personally. Although I like it in other things as well. I've had some pretty good katsu sandwiches during the relatively brief time I spent in Japan. They do a pretty good katsu sandwich at some of the street vendors there. And then places like Coco's, like Coco Ichiban, sometimes will have katsu sando that are pretty decent. Yeah, Awkward, you get a really nice crunch out of that. Yeah, it kind of forces you to, Decoy, for sure. Well, Mantis Man, but that's fine, you know? If your tea gets cold, you might as well just buckle down and put it in the refrigerator and chill it. Yeah, Decoy, sometimes that's all you can do is just try things. Exactly, Mantis Man. And I mean, worst comes to worst, you can reheat it. Alright, I need to focus here. Oh, okay, Mantis Man. Yeah, that makes a certain amount of sense. If you've already mixed milk into it, then yeah, you definitely don't want to just put it in the microwave. That was going to be my next question, Decoy, was did you try cooking them to the point where they're, like, fully caramelized? But I figured you probably had, so I didn't bother asking. I hope you'll all forgive me. I've actually... I always try to mute my microphone when I drink tea, because guzzling it into the microphone is kind of a rude thing to do, but I took a moment here to take a sip of tea. Hello, Haretsu, welcome! Seems to be going okay so far, Haretsu. Well, Asa, I presume that's true as long as you don't add anything to it. I suppose so, Mantis Man, but not in the way that I would like. Plus, Mantis Man, there have been so many occasions where I've accidentally muted myself by fat-fingering the mute button, or else intentionally muted myself but forgot to unmute the microphone, that now, when more than 15 or 20 seconds go by without me saying anything, people in chat start to worry that I've done that again, and I can't even blame them anymore. It's humiliating. Yeah, Decoy, my heart goes out to you, man. Really and truly. Yeah, I need some kind of indicator, Artista. Something visual, maybe. Alright, there we go. Armando, they are, actually. What you'd probably want to do is get yourself a trivet, and preferably a cast iron trivet, because those retain heat better, and use that for your tea candle. One of those little, the short little cup tea candles, they can last for as much as 4 hours or so, Armando, and, when the candle runs out, you can always put another one under your teapot. So theoretically, you can keep it warm for as long as you want, and they do work. I do use them myself, and actually, I think in one of the earlier episodes of Tea Talk, Armando, I did demonstrate the setup for those. I think it was episode 2 or 3 of Tea Talk, if you're interested in going back to check, but they definitely work. The one thing you want to keep in mind, Armando, is that not all tea light candles are created equally. Alright, good luck, the Doctor. Thank you for dropping by. Have a good stream. What you want to keep in mind, Armando, is that some of those candles are made of paraffin wax, which you don't want to be breathing in. If you're going to buy them, buy ones that are made of natural plant wax. I mean, you still don't want to breathe that in, but at least it's not full of toxic chemicals. You're going to want to light them in a ventilated room regardless. You're going to want to make sure that you have at least a little bit of airflow through the room where you've got them lit, but the plant wax ones are much safer. OBS Studio, Lauriatius. Yes. Ultima, you're not supposed to eat them. The only way, Morteferu. The only way. There's not really much point in paying for XSplit unless you're going to be doing something really ridiculous. And even then, the stuff that XSplit allows you to do isn't that impressive. Yeah, Armando, let me get you an example, actually, because here. Ideally, Armando, the best quality tea light candles are made from beeswax. But sometimes you can also get plant wax ones. So these are the beeswax kind, or just an example of them. Ultima, minimum of 20, but it depends. So for example, Armando, this this version actually uses soy wax from soybeans. Yes, Ultima, they do. But they only count for a quarter as much as resting counts. Basically, Ultima, there's a back-end point system that is not player-facing. No problem, Armando. Honestly, my favorite tea light candles are the beeswax ones because they actually smell like honey, and they just make it that much more pleasant when you're having a cup of tea. But Ultima, the exact numerical breakdown is a random battle from start to finish passes 5 units of time, and resting once at an inn or like at a bed at Basker Colony passes 20 units of time. And in order to get a plant to grow, depending on what type of plant it is, it will require typically anywhere between 25 and 100 units of time before it will produce items. So if you're looking at the comparison of random battles for 5 units of time each to get a 50 time unit plant like I think mini carrots are 50 time units to produce, it's far more efficient to rest 5 times for 20 points each, which you can spam, you know, you can do it consecutively, than it is to do 20 random battles. And resting is by far it provides the highest number of time unit points per action that passes time. And then there's another couple of things, like every minute that goes by in the game counts as 1 unit of time, which is obviously incredibly inefficient. Unless, of course, you're doing other things. Like, if you're just playing through the game, then the passage of 1 unit of time per in-game minute on the play clock, that ensures that progress is actually made towards your plants growing while you're progressing the story. But that I don't know, Goose Twitch. I've heard different opinions on which Wild Arms game is the best, but one thing I can tell you for certain is that the opinions always hold that it's one of the first 3. The series really took a nosedive after Wild Arms 3, unfortunately, so whenever I hear an opinion on which Wild Arms game is number 1, usually it's either Wild Arms 1, 2, or 3. There are outliers, of course, just like there are people who inexplicably think that Dark Souls 2 is the best Souls game, but what can I say? People are entitled to be wrong. Fight me! I guess I could see that, Asa. This is a drastically simplified system from Stardew Valley, I suppose. Sony, Goose Twitch, believe it or not. It's published by Sony and developed by Mediavision. That's okay, Decoy, I forgive you. I don't think so, Goose Twitch, no. Mediavision really botched the last couple of Wild Arms games, and as a result, those games didn't sell well, and in turn, as a result of them not selling well, Mediavision gave up on developing them. There hasn't been any activity in the Wild Arms franchise since probably 2007 or so. And I don't even know if Mediavision still exists as a company anymore, to be honest. I haven't heard of them doing anything since the end of the Wild Arms series. Oh, congrats, Mantis Man. Awesome. I'd love to see whenever you have an opportunity to post them. Yeah, Goose Twitch, that's the PSP one, I think. I've never played XF, and I don't really know anything about it, other than that it supposedly is not regarded as poorly as Wild Arms 4 and 5. Oh, did they ant shave? Okay. Well, that's kind of unfortunate because the Vita, as we all know, is where games go to die, or where they went to die. So I wouldn't expect any more of those kinds of games from Mediavision if they even still exist, which they might. I'm not 100% sure, but... The only franchise from Mediavision that I'm particularly familiar with is Wild Arms. Being as I've never really had any interest in Digimon or Valkyria. Alright. Last upgrade for Jet. Because he desperately needs it. And then some crit, because we can afford that too. Armando, I love mine as well. I got a Vita TV, and I have since jailbroken and modded it, which was the best decision I ever made, because it increases its functionality exponentially. The problem with the Vita is how badly Sony treated it, because they got so bent out of shape about potential piracy. And they decided that they would rather burn it to the ground than abide the idea of anyone pirating Vita games. Which, of course, then drove everybody who was not already pirating Vita games to start pirating them. So, good job, Sony. KR, I'm pretty sure we all do. I would wager all or nearly all of us have at least one franchise or another that we really enjoyed, but that just got killed by its developers or by some other factor. Yeah, Goose Twitch, that generation did seem to suffer a disproportionate number of those cases. Yeah, who would have guessed, Artista? Not like we ever could have predicted that. Red, the irony is, I discovered after jailbreaking my Vita TV that it actually makes a pretty decent and entirely serviceable emulator box. Oh, KR, you were a fan of Breath of Fire, huh? Yeah, Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter was the only Breath of Fire game I ever played, and I probably will never play it on stream, just because of how depressing and heart-wrenching a game it is. Like, it is an unbelievably depressing game. A great game in many ways, but incredibly depressing. Mantis Man, if you don't mind linking those here in Twitch chat, you can just right-click on them in Discord, and then select Copy Link, and paste the link in Twitch chat. I'm well aware, Decoy. Thanks, Mantis Man. That just saves me having to take time to go dig through the Discord, you know? Not that I'm not constantly getting sidetracked by things anyway, but I am at least making my best effort to minimize how often that happens. Oh, were the earlier Breath of Fire games not like that, KR? Excellent, Red. Excellent. Oh, Decoy, Breath of Fire 5 is like that as well. Breath of Fire 4 is best, Nobleman? Interesting. Well, Decoy, I suspect that the poor sales of the mobile game are why there are no more Breath of Fire games after that. Awkward Senpai, I always have autocorrect turned off. No matter what the device is, I never trust it. They seem to be nowadays, Goose Twitch. I don't remember seeing a copy of Breath of Fire 5 for under $100 in the recent past. Yeah, KR, if the earlier Breath of Fire games are all happy and bright and cheerful, I have to wonder if the writer had a midlife crisis or something during the development of 5. Oh, it was a new writer for Breath of Fire 5. Okay, KR, I gotcha. Oh, I see, Decoy. Goose Twitch, the reason I keep sleeping in this game is because I'm a millennial and it's just in my nature to want to sleep all day long. No, there is actually a reason. I am sleeping in game to pass time. And passing time causes the plants in your garden to grow. And right now I am trying to replenish my supply of status restoration items. But I think we probably... we should rest a couple more times and then we can go back and check. Ah, gotcha, Decoy. Nah, Goose Twitch, I'm not really an FGC guy. I mean, not really, I'm not an FGC guy. Fighting games have never really been a big part of my personal interest. I've played a few of them. I mean, I've played Street Fighter and a little bit of Soul Calibur. You know, I have a cursory familiarity with them, but... Oh, in my case, it's not about reflexes, Fontez, although I have to think my reflexes would probably not be very well suited to fighting games at this point. Although, I'm still a decent shot with a pistol, so if those reflexes are sufficient, then maybe I would be proven wrong about fighting games, but... But personally, no, fighting games aren't really a big thing for me. Alright. Now... Ah, okay, excellent. 99. Which means we can now, we can begin adding to our surplus. There we go. Man, I can't believe we've been at this for already almost 2.5 hours. Literally just farming. I probably would have been able to do it more efficiently if I were better at dividing my attention, but here we are. Alright, honestly, now I'm worried that we might not even be able to afford the train fare back to Dune Canyon. Matter of fact, where is Midland Station? There it is. Wow, KR! That sounds like a sadistic game if I've ever heard of one. Yeah, we need more money in order to afford a train ticket. That's embarrassing. Yeah, that sounds convoluted enough to be just about right, Decoy. Well, Goose Twitch, you gotta stick with what you like, right? Oh, copyright on music, Decoy. Gotcha. Well, that's some crap. Alright, hang on. Okay, Fortune Gear is... Wait, no, Fortune Gear, blast it! It's in Dune Canyon. And actually, I think I meant to come back here anyway, because we just learned about Millennium Puzzles, which means we can now access all of the Millennium Puzzles that are within reach of us. Alright, Mantis Man, thank you for doing that. Let's see. Whoa! Mantis Man, the amount of detail that you put into these is always so incredible. I consider myself a patient person, but I don't know that I would have the kind of patience it requires to paint models the way you do. Alright, now if memory serves, I believe there was a Millennium Puzzle around here. Yes, indeed, and I believe... Yup! Well, Mantis Man, I appreciate you taking the time to show them off. Millennium Puzzle 1 out of 20. Difficulty level 1 out of 5. These puzzles will test your wits. Touch the white crystal when you're ready to take the challenge. Solve the puzzle to receive an item. And some of the rewards from these, boy. Some of these rewards are pretty good. This is where the treasure chest appears when you're done, if I remember correctly. Blocks of 4 colors mysteriously placed on a mysterious platform. Welcome to the Millennium Puzzle, the ultimate challenge of mind over matter. Let me explain. Eliminate blocks of the same color by placing them next to each other. Move blocks by pushing and pulling them. Unfortunately, all of your precious tools are useless here. You have 2 choices. Complete the puzzles or jump off the platform to exit. Each time you complete a puzzle, you receive a prize appropriate to the puzzle's difficulty. Good luck, puzzle solver! Now, the problem with Millennium Puzzles is that if you accidentally fall off the edge partway through solving them, they reset. Ah! Case in point. It is Goose Twitch. This is just a side activity that can get you some really good items. And this first one is pretty straightforward, but later on, they get a little bit trickier. But generally speaking, the goal here is to get all the blocks to disappear. Now, there are times when a little bit of subterfuge is necessary, or just concentration, because you can end up with situations where you have an odd number of blocks left, and then you have to pull stunts like this. So no matter what you do, you always need to make sure that there are at least 2 blocks of the same color remaining in an area where you can fit them together. And, of course, another thing you need to take into consideration is your positioning when you're solving these puzzles, because you do not want to approach the blocks from an angle that is going to have you accidentally walk off the edge of the puzzle. Especially after you've gotten this close to completing it. So, in order to take that into consideration here, we're going to move these toward the center. Yeah, Mantis Man, I demonstrated that with the red blocks, and you'll see it again here with the blue ones, because we've got an odd number of blue ones left. But if you end up with an odd number, you can just do this. And there we are. Well, I was gonna say, Haretsu, what I wish they had done was, I wish they had made the puzzle in an enclosed area with, like, a stairway that you could climb to leave and reset the puzzle, rather than making it so that the puzzle resets if you accidentally fall off, because the controls for grabbing blocks are not 100% reliable. As you saw at the very beginning of the puzzle, where I accidentally fell off the edge trying to grab one. Oh, Kate's boots. Bah. That's garbage. We can get this item from regular enemies. Well, that's one Millennium Puzzle down. I think there are like 20 or 25 in total. There might be a few more. Okay, we want to go to Fortune Gear, because there is something very particular that I would like to do here. I think this is the place where we can run into fairy lights. No? Goose Twitch! It depends on the minigame. The motorcycle minigame definitely makes it worse in FF7 Remake. The way that they handled that. But some of the other ones aren't terrible. I mean, the optional ones are nice in that they're optional. Come on, Gallows. Oh, we got a wind ring. Actually, that's better than I could have hoped for. Alright. Well, where is the other dungeon? Wasn't the gemstone cave? Oh, do you know what? It might be Glimmering Emblem. Alright, hang on. Glimmering Emblem. Okay, so we need to go back to, well, actually... Hang on. Alright, Mantis Man, have a good one! Take care! I want to see what we can pickpocket from these guys. Because there's just no good pickpocket list anywhere. None that I know of, Goose Twitch. Mediavision was the only company making these back in the day. Alright, let's see. Yeah, Nobleman, but that doesn't really count. We're talking about, like, full-on Western-themed JRPGs from start to finish, you know? I mean, there were games like, what was it called? Wild Guns. But those weren't RPGs, those were just, shoot-em-ups. Yeah, it's gonna miss a lot, unfortunately. Alright, can we... Oh, we can't use a tiny flower. Wow, Decoy! Oh, an antidote, huh? Okay. Yeah, Jumbo Cactar, as far as I know, it's the only game I've ever played where you can. I think it's a fantastic idea. I think more games should do it. Yeah, Jumbo Cactar, I ended up using several names from the FF spell convention, and some of my own where FF spell names didn't fit. Well, he's dead, I guess. Actually. Yeah, sleep always misses. It's a worthless spell. Status ailments in general in this game. There we go, finally. Now we'll see how long it actually lasts. Probably it'll be like 1 or 2 turns. I wonder if these guys even have anything to steal. They must, but... I feel like they would have something good. Yep, he woke up. This spell. More than anything, I just want to see what the success rate of steel is, because I remember it being bad, but... I'm pretty sure most enemies have stuff that can be stolen. I feel like if we don't get anything in a few more tries, then he probably just has nothing. I don't remember whether this game differentiates a successful steal attempt when the enemy has nothing from a failed steal attempt. Goose Twitch, thank you so much for the sub! Welcome to the Ragtime Lounge. Really appreciate your support. Decoy, I don't know that it's not FF9 steal rates. It might be. Yeah, Decoy, it's hard to argue against Pink Tails being the worst, but they've made a lot of bad decisions in that series, if we're honest. Well, thank you, Goose. I really appreciate... Yes, okay, he did have something, and it was good. That's a water ring. That gives us the ability to become resistant to water. And we do want those. The question is, does he have anything else? And now that we've stolen something from him... will we be treated differently with a, it does tell us if he doesn't have anything. Okay. That at least is a relief. That's what I wanted to know, is whether the game tells us if we're wasting our time. And at least, fortunately, it does. If you're very lucky, they can decoy, but there's actually a way to guarantee it. And that's something I wanted to use the Luck Guardian for. Because what will happen is, if you finish off an enemy with the Chapapanga summon, that enemy is guaranteed or virtually guaranteed to drop an item. Okay, I think we want to go to East Highlands. And since we won't have access to the black market for at least another chapter and a half, I want to go get some light rings so that we can give everybody protection against light. Hey, Magnus! Welcome! How are you doing? Oh, thanks, Goose Twitch. That means a lot. I really appreciate it. Genuinely. The exact percentage rates don't really matter, Decoy, no. All I care about for practical purposes is having a ballpark figure, you know? Just so that I have some sense of how long we can expect to be there if we need to steal something. And actually, give me just a moment here, because oh, yikes, Magnus, you were doing sit to stand? With a hip replacement patient? Ugh. Sorry to hear that, man. The things you put up with in the medical industry, right? Yeah, I hope you did, Magnus. Oh, no worries, Goose Twitch. Thank you again for dropping by. And good luck with the remainder of your work. Have a good night, rest well, and I look forward to seeing you again sometime. And before we get too far out from his arrival, let me take care of this. Everybody, please do yourselves a big favor and go check out Magnus Mark 1. He's a great guy with a great sense of humor, great taste in games, and just all around a fantastic dude. He mainly streams horror games, and I know for a lot of you that's a pretty big thing, something that a lot of you enjoy, so... You would do well to avail yourselves of a follow. So, northeast. Okay. I think it should be this. Leyline Observatory. Doom to Obscurity. It might be that one? Glimmering Emblem. Okay. Fantastic, Magnus! Excellent! Alright, was this the dungeon? Yes, it was. Okay. So, this is going to require a little bit to set up. What we're going to want to do here is... throw Virginia a couple of mini carrots. And we're going to want to get rid of these hobgobs. Okay, 30 HP, actually, this might work. As long as Moonspark doesn't miss, because it does usually miss, what we want to do is land Moonspark and then Lucky Hand. And we need to finish these things with Lucky Hand. In order for us to be guaranteed the item drops. Yeah, see, the fact that this summon can miss is garbage. But let's see if it does finish them, because they have very low health. Of course, the Japanese devs had to get in a mascot character. Yeah, we got one. What I probably should have done was given a bunch of mini carrots to Gallows. Yeah, actually, let's see what happens if, let's see how much damage it does if Gallows has a, Yeah, that was a Guardian Fontes. It's sort of a joke Guardian, but it does have a gimmick where basically the reason its attack does so little damage is because if you actually finish an enemy off with that Guardian's summon attack, the enemy is guaranteed to drop an item. Or practically guaranteed. It's like a 95% chance, I think, or thereabouts, to drop an item. And the particular item that I want is a light ring, which gives you a skill that lets you be immune to light. So let's see how much damage this now does with a full FP bar. No, never forget, Fontes. No, 60 damage, not bad. And Gallows will pretty much have best luck all the time, thanks to the luck boost from Chapapanga. Oh, but I guess everybody does now. So he's the one we're going to want opening these chests. Okay, so we got 2 light rings out of that. We need at least 1 more. Hello, Jalapeno, welcome! And, oh, here we go. This'll definitely... This'll definitely be enough. We're gonna just stack up mini carrots on Gallows and have him summon Chapapanga. Good to see you, Jalapeno. I'm doing alright, thanks. How about yourself? Now, I just hope they don't attack Clive, because I do not need him counterattacking them and costing us chances to get a light ring. No, KR, I didn't, but somebody clearly did. It's just inconvenient how fast these things are. But an 80 FP lucky shot ought to be enough to kill them. You can't attack your own allies in this game, Decoy, so I had no way. There we go. Oh, come on. Goodness sake. See, that treasure chest is what had the items in it. And it is miserable that even... it is miserable that even without, or even with all possible boosts to luck, it can still fail. Very unsporting of the devs. Yeah, and of course that one doesn't blow up. Oh, come on. I really want the group of 6 fairy lights. Oh well. It is Azure Flame. It is really mean. But those are the kinds of design elements that JRPG developers seemed to really love back in the day. And no developer was immune to it. Pretty much every JRPG has some kind of really unkind, unsporting element like that. All right, there we go. Oh, that figures, Decoy. Yeah, the don't even talk to me about the Bloodborne gem system. That's a whole load of garbage on its own. All right, come on, Gallows. Please. Gallows! You have the highest luck in the entire party. I was counting on you. This is the kind of thing where these developers didn't know when to stop, right? Once the players earned it, let them have it, for God's sake. I killed all the enemies with that garbage attack like you wanted me to. Now let me have the damn items. Eventually, we're going to have to go back to a town and rest, because Fontes, I think there is a skill that enables you to open treasure chests more reliably, but I don't believe we get it until close to the end of the game. See, when the booby trap deals damage, you still get whatever is in the chest. But if it doesn't deal damage, then apparently whatever is in the chest gets blown up instead. Decoy, I believe you get it by solving a Millennium Puzzle. I think it's a reward for one of the Millennium Puzzles. But one of the really late game ones that you can't access until, Near the end of the game, anyway. And even with maximum luck, the failure rate on opening chests is just inexcusably high. It has no business being that high. They do, Decoy. JRPGs really love their RNG. It won't be enough to finish off the hobgobs, but it will get the fairy lights. Yeah, that's about right, Decoy. Alright, come on, Gallows. God's sake, man. Oh, 3 heal berries now. Because the blasted thing blew up. Yeah, Decoy, that's what Troffery is for. Or Estoma. All right, here we go. And, Decoy, maybe they fixed agility not working in the SMT3 remaster, if we're lucky. Here we go. Thank you! Finally! Okay, 3 light rings. We're in business. Oh, I see, Decoy. Okay. What I want to do here now, then, is... Okay. Equip. Moonspark has Dark Ward already. Terra Roar has no such thing. Okay, so Moonspark can have a Light Ring. Aqua Wisp. I think Gallows already has Light Ward, actually. Lucky Hand and Flash Hit, so... Gale Claw... Okay, and Personal Skill. Because Dark and Light are by far the most common attack elements in the game. And they are by far the ones that should be protected against. Alright, Gallows. Okay, one more level then. For both Gallows and Virginia. And then for Clive, we can just swap out Wind Ward for Light Ward. And now everybody except Jet is protected against Light, and we really need to do something about that. We really need another Guardian that we can give Jet, but there's just so little that's useful on Jet. Alright, well, let's rest. The village of Humphreys Peak lies west between the dunes. I hear they're getting by through the unity of their community. I'd say we have a lot to learn from them. Complaining only goes so far. Okay, that's just the same. And actually... Yeah, the light rings are 1,000 each. We don't need nearly this many of them, so we can sell one, I think. There isn't really a single protagonist in this game, KR. The closest to it is Virginia. But really, it's shared between the four of them. Humphreys Peak. It's further south of the bridge to the southwest. Just head to the coast and you can't miss it. It's a tricky place to get to from here, but just go like I told you and you'll do just fine. Alright, come on. Alright, let me make sure to save. And where are we going next? Decaying Labyrinth. Oh, right, that's, right, the Decaying Labyrinth was the bonus area for... Or the side area for the Secret Garden quest. Actually... I do want to see what we can steal from some of these enemies, because... we probably want Gallows to cast Providence on himself. How long it lasts, I'm not sure, but... Wow! These guys have a reduced to 1 HP attack, huh? I see what's going on here. These things are a hell of a lot more dangerous than, than I would have given him credit for. A reduced to 1 HP attack from a regular enemy at this point in the game is terrifying. Unless that's all they do, but... somehow I have a feeling it's not. I suspect they probably, are capable of physical attacks. But if they're capable of doing an attack like this, then logically you would think they'd be carrying something useful. Let's find out. Really? Okay, I stand corrected. Man, these blasted things are more powerful than any of the bosses I've fought. Hello, Mecha Fan, welcome! Okay, it's Trilobite C that doesn't have anything. So we can kill that one. Hello, Cesartlu. I guess that's one way to look at it, Mecha Fan. I don't know, though. I mean, these things have done nothing but spam insect breath on us so far. They haven't actually used any physical attacks. What are we dealing with here? 240 HP. Weak to ice. Well, if this is all they do, then I guess it's not that dangerous. It's just a huge inconvenience to have to fight them when there are other enemies around that will physically attack you. I guess they're just here to chew through all your vitality. Alright, well, I want to see what we get from them if we Chopapanga them. The fact that insect breath never seems to miss, you know, the fact that it just always lands is even more of a slap in the face from the developers. Alright, let's see if we can actually get Moonspark to hit anybody. And then Lucky Hand. All right. Yeah, Fontes, if it were, I would have to AoE them immediately. Because that would be way too dangerous. Well, Mecha Fan, it looks like the developers were determined to ensure that all of their players hate bugs as well. Yeah, okay. They do have physical attacks, and it looks like they counter with them. Alright. Alright, Gallows, come on. There we are. And of course, it's just heal berries. Amazing. Well, now we know. And at the very least, we get to rest for free at Clive's house. Ugh. All right. Now, I hope you'll all forgive me at this juncture, but being as I do have a vaccination appointment later today that I need to make, which is going to be in a little bit less than 10 hours, and being that I do sort of need to get some sleep for that appointment, as much as I hate to do this, I'm going to have to call it a little bit early this evening. So what we're going to do is we are going to raid my very good friend Kara Comparetto. And for those of you who don't know Kara, please stick around for this. You're going to be really, really glad you did. Kara is absolutely wonderful. She is lovely. She is so sweet. She is a classically trained pianist, but she now also streams video games, and she is doing her first full playthrough, to my recollection, of Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past right now. You guys are really, really going to love her. Please stick around for this. Thank you all so much for hanging out today. I really appreciate everybody's company and support. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to stream tomorrow. I may or may not be feeling like it, depending on what kind of side effects I get from the vaccine. But if I do, I will see you then. And if not, I'll see you the day after. Take care, everyone. Thank you all again.